I was sitting here just kind of going through some of my flat files and looking at some of my book projects, and I came across one of my favorite books from the early 90s. I've been creating book as art since the 80s, actually. And this particular book, which is Homage to Rumi, was done in 1994. And it's a fun book, but also the message. I love the writings of Rumi, and I find that his thoughts, his philosophies have informed so much of my work over the years. So I thought it would be fun to share this book with you, this book project, and read the particular poem that I love so much. This book itself is not only book as art, but it's also sculptural, because it has this wonderful little element here. It's a child's shoe form that I had sourced many years ago, and it's all wood, but I took and covered it in handmade paper, Japanese paper actually, and it became a part of the element that goes with the book. And so even when exhibited, it would sit on top of the book like that, and just sort of be this element that to me spoke to what the poem is about. And the poem is about a journey. So let me begin sharing the writings with you. And this is all done with handmade paper. It's all hand bound. And it's a book structure that I created for this project. It's a simple book structure, but it's one that I considered the paper, the size of the book, and the particular artwork that I had created. So this one is, everything you see has its roots in the unseen world. The forms may change, yet the essence remains the same. Every wonderful sight will vanish. Every sweet word will fade. But do not be disheartened. The source they come from is eternal, growing, branching out, giving new life and new joy. Why do you weep? The source is within you, and this whole world is springing up from it. The source is full, and its waters are ever flowing. Do not grieve, drink your fill, and don't think it will ever run dry. This is the endless ocean. From the moment you came into the world, a ladder was placed in front of you that you may transcend it. From earth, you became plant. From plant, you became animal. Afterwards, you became a human being, endowed with knowledge, intellect, and faith. Behold the body born of dust. How perfect it has become. Why should you fear its end? When were you ever made less by dying? When you pass beyond this human form, no doubt, you will become an angel and soar through the heavens. But don't stop there. Even heavenly bodies grow old. Pass again from the heavenly realm and plunge into the vast ocean of consciousness. Let the drop of water that is you become 100 mighty seas. But do not think that the drop alone becomes the ocean. The ocean too becomes the drop. Jalal Uddin Rumi. So I thought I would share a little bit of what techniques I use to create this book structure. It's made with all handmade papers. So the front cover is using a very fine Japanese paper that I made. It's some Mitsumatsu, and it's a very thin but a very strong, durable paper. And I lined the cover with it after I created some raised layers and a part of the imagery. And the same paper was used to cover this child's shoe form. The side edge here is canvas cloth that I used as a spine cloth, and you can see where it has long stitches on the spine edge here, and that's what's holding in the inside pages. It's on a Davy board, which is a traditional book board. Inside, it's lined with Reeves, the front and the back covers, which is a beautiful printmaking paper. And inside here is another piece of handmade paper that I made, and this is cotton. And there's a little bit of linen that was in this sheet of paper when I made it. You can see it has a decal edge going all the way around. So I created the paper to be this length and shape. It's done on a pretty large mold, and it's one long sheet that was then tri-folded. The paints that I used were a combination of some of the very early layers was a very thin watered acrylic, and then from there I used cold wax encaustics to build up the color and build up the layers. So if you were able to actually feel this paper, it's very much layered with encaustic waxes that have held up beautifully over the time. And these are all, some of these are inks, which are some of the Dr. Martens inks. So a lot of the thin inks that I've used on here are light fast. So all of the products were archival, and you can see they've really stayed the test of time. This book has been exhibited widely in a number of museum shows and other gallery shows, and it's really held up, especially the handmade paper with the cold wax encaustics on them. And they really take beautifully to the actual handmade paper. You can also see how very etheric and almost cloud-like the paint layers are, and that's due to the very thin, very translucent quality of the cold wax medium. And so there we have it. The back boards are also your Davy board. This book and structure and the very sort of etheric paintings that were a part of this reminded me so much of not only the early years of my children, but it seems now the time has passed and my first grandchild was born just a few days ago, and how appropriate my memories are tied to this book that I did many years ago, and how much I enjoy these book structures after so much time. So I hope you enjoyed this. Bye-bye.